lock the door. I mean that. Whatever room you're in right now, if there's someone else in it, wait. Come back later. Because what I'm about to lay out is not the kind of thing you share while somebody's half listening from the kitchen. It's not a video you play in the background while you fold laundry. The 11 things I'm going to name are marks. And marks are private. They were placed on you in a private transaction between you and God. And they were never meant to be handed around a dinner table for people to inspect and hand back with a shrug. You already know this. That's the part that stings. You've tried before. You've tried to explain it to your sister, to your best friend, to your spouse, to the guy you trust most at church. You've said the words out loud and watched them land like wet paper. And afterward is the worst part. Afterward, you felt cheaper, like you'd taken something wholly out of your pocket and let it get handled. So you stopped explaining, and you started carrying it alone, and you assumed that was a failure. It wasn't. It was obedience you didn't know you were performing. 99 out of 100 people cannot receive what I'm going to say tonight. And that's not arrogance, that's arithmetic done by heaven, not by me. Most people were never given the equipment to hear it. It isn't a judgment on them. A man born without ears isn't wicked for not hearing thunder. He's just not built for it. And the 11 signs I'm going to give you are frequencies. Some people are built to catch them. Most people simply are not. Let's begin. The first sign: you have been removed from rooms you never asked to leave. Not fired, not exiled. Removed. There's a difference, and you feel it. Look back at your life honestly for a moment. Count the doors that closed without a fight. Friendships that just thinned. Went quiet. No blow-up, no betrayal. Nothing you could point to and say, there, that's where it broke. They simply stopped calling, and you simply stopped noticing, until one day you did notice. And the space they left was already sealed over. Jobs you almost had. Relationships that almost went the distance. Cities you nearly moved to. Churches you nearly planted roots in. Almost, and then a wall you couldn't see would slide down between you and it, silent as a curtain. You've blamed yourself for every one of those. I know you have. You've built a case against yourself out of them, and you've been prosecuting that case in your own head for years now. I'm difficult. I'm too much. I sabotage things. Something's wrong with me. Hear me. Some of those doors were not closed against you. They were closed for you. Joseph did not choose the pit. His brothers threw him in. He did not choose Potiphar's house, and he did not choose the prison cell where he sat for years, with the smell of other men's despair in his clothes. Every single door in that young man's life slammed in a direction he did not pick, and every single one of them was moving him toward a throne room in Egypt, where he would stand before Pharaoh and open his mouth and save the very family that had tried to bury him. He couldn't see it. Sitting in that cell, with the years piling up, with the cupbearer forgetting his name for 2 full years, Joseph could not see it. He just felt removed. Discarded. Set aside. You have been set aside. That's not rejection. That's reservation. God does not leave his most precious instruments lying around where anyone can pick them up. The second sign: you feel the room before you understand the room. You walk into a house and you know. Before a word is spoken, before you've read a single face, something in your chest tightens or eases, and you know what's living in that place. You've dismissed this 1,000 times. You've called it anxiety. You've called it being sensitive, being paranoid, overthinking. Your family has probably called it worse. But it isn't your nerves. It's discernment. And it's one of the oldest gifts in the book, and one of the loneliest, because you cannot prove it, and you cannot explain it, and you are almost always right. Think about Nathan walking into David's palace. The king is on the throne. The king is powerful. The king is guilty, and has covered it beautifully: a marriage, a war casualty, a tidy story. Everyone else in that court sees a functioning kingdom. Nathan walks in and feels the rot. He doesn't have evidence. He doesn't have a witness. He has a knowing that God dropped into him, and he opens his mouth and tells a story about a man with one little lamb, and he watches the king's own mouth pronounce judgment on himself. Thou art the man. That's what you carry. Not a superpower, a weight. Because when you feel it, you also have to decide what to do with it, and most of the time, you do nothing. You smile, you get through dinner. You go home and you sit in your car in the driveway with the engine off and you shake a little. Nobody sees that part. Nobody ever sees that part. And here's what most people miss about this gift: it doesn't come with a manual. And it doesn't come with permission. Nathan wasn't invited to correct the king. Nobody sent him a request. He carried a knowing that he did not ask for into a room where that knowing could have cost him his head, and he opened his mouth anyway. You've had that moment. You've sat across from someone, a friend, a coworker, a family member, and you've known something was wrong. Known it in your bones, and you said nothing. Because what were you going to say? I have a feeling. People don't accept feelings as evidence. They want facts. And you had no facts. You had a weight in your chest, and a certainty you couldn't defend. So you swallowed it. And 6 months later, a year later, the thing you felt came true, and you sat there with the awful, useless satisfaction of having been right about something nobody let you say. That's the price of the second sign. It's not glamorous. It's mostly silence and mostly grief. But God does not hand out discernment as a party trick. He hands it out to watchmen. And a watchman's job is not to be popular. A watchman's job is to see the thing coming while it's still far off, and to stay at the wall, whether or not anyone believes the report. The third sign. You wake between 3 and 4 in the morning and you don't know why. Not every night. But often enough that you've stopped being surprised by it. Something lifts you out of sleep. There's no noise, no dream you can remember. Just a clean, sudden awareness, eyes open in the dark, mind clear as glass at an hour when your mind should be mud. I've watched grown men laugh at this, and I've watched grown men weep about it. Because when you tell people, they say, cut the caffeine, get a better mattress, you're stressed. Practical answers to a spiritual event. The hours before dawn are the quietest hours the world has. Fewer voices, fewer machines, fewer people wanting something from you. And heaven is not stupid. Heaven speaks when the noise dies. Samuel was a boy sleeping in the temple when the voice came. 3 times. He kept getting up and going to Eli. Because he didn't have a category for what was happening. He assumed it was the old man calling him. He assumed it was ordinary. That's the sign you keep assuming your holy moment is an ordinary malfunction. And Eli, half blind and half finished, finally understood. Go lie down again. And if he calls you, say, Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. Nobody's told you to say that. So you've been getting up at 3 a.m. for years, scrolling your phone, waiting for sleep to come back, when what was standing at the foot of the bed was an invitation. Next time it happens, don't reach for the phone. Sit up and say it. The fourth sign, people confess to you. Strangers, co-workers you barely know, the woman in front of you at the pharmacy. They start with the weather, and 4 minutes later they're telling you about their marriage, their diagnosis, the thing they've never told anyone. And you stand there thinking, why are you telling me this? because something in them recognized something in you. They can't name it. They'd be embarrassed if you asked them about it later. But they felt safe, and safe is rare. And people will empty their whole heart into a stranger who feels safe. The woman at the well had spent her entire life being seen and judged in the same motion. 5 husbands. A man who wasn't her husband. She came to draw water at noon, the hottest hour, precisely so she wouldn't have to see the other women, wouldn't have to feel their eyes. She had organized her entire day around avoiding being known. And a tired Jewish man sits at that well and asks her for a drink. And within minutes, she is telling him everything. Not because he interrogated her, because he saw her and didn't flinch. That's what happens around you. People stop flinching. And they set down what they've been carrying, right at your feet, and then they walk away lighter and you go home heavier. You've never told anyone how heavy that gets. The 5th sign. Your prayers have teeth. You don't pray pretty. You've noticed that. In church you hear people pray in these smooth, rolling sentences, and you feel like a fraud. Because when you pray it comes out raw and half-finished, and sometimes it's just one word said over and over. But things move. You pray for a person, and something shifts in their life. You feel a pull to pray for someone at an odd hour. And later you find out that was the exact hour they hit bottom. You've had that happen, and told nobody. Because who do you tell? What would you even call it? Elijah wasn't a polished man. He was a wild one, hair and dust and a temper. And he stood on Carmel in front of the whole nation and prayed a prayer of maybe 60 seconds. And fire came down and licked up the water in the trench. Then he ran and hid in a cave and told God he wanted to die. Both things. The same man. The same week. Power and fragility live in the same house. Always have. Don't measure your prayers by how they sound. Measure them by what moves. The 6th sign. You cannot lie comfortably anymore. You used to be able to. Small ones, the social lubricant kind. I'm fine. Sounds great. I'd love to come. Now they cost you. You say the small lie and something inside you turns over, and you carry it for hours like a stone in your shoe. This isn't a personality change. This is a conscience that's been sharpened. Iron on iron. And the sharper it gets, the less room you have to maneuver. Ananias and Sapphira sold a piece of land, kept part of the money back, and told the apostles they'd given it all. It was a small lie by the standards of the world. Nobody was hurt. The church still got a gift. But something had been made holy in that room, and a lie could not live in it. You're becoming a room like that. That's why the lies won't fit anymore. And I'll tell you what this does to a life, practically speaking, because I've lived it, and it isn't comfortable. You lose the ability to network. You lose the ability to charm. You sit in meetings where everyone is agreeing to a thing that everyone privately knows is false, and you can feel your own throat closing. And you either say the true thing and pay for it, or you stay quiet and pay for it a different way in your sleep, at 3 in the morning, in that clarity we already talked about. There's no third option for you. That's what most people don't understand. They have a third option. They can shrug it off, go home, watch television, forget it. That door is closed to you now. It was closed on purpose. Think about Micaiah. 400 prophets in front of the king, all of them saying the same comfortable thing: go up. You'll win. God is with you. And the messenger goes to fetch Micaiah and says to him, on the way essentially, look, everybody's on the same page here. Say what they're saying. Make it easy on yourself. And Micaiah says, as the Lord lives, whatever the Lord says to me, that is what I will speak. He told the truth. and the king had him thrown in prison and fed on bread and water until further notice. That's the cost, and you've been paying installments on it your whole adult life without ever knowing what the bill was for. The seventh sign. You've been given dreams you were never given the right to explain. Not every night, but the ones that come with weight. You wake up, and the dream is still standing in the room with you. You can feel it on your skin, and some of them have shown you things that hadn't happened yet. And then, they happened, and you told nobody, because who on earth would you tell? Joseph, the other one. The carpenter was told in a dream not to be afraid to take Mary as his wife. Told in a dream to run to Egypt. Told in a dream when it was safe to come back. That man's entire family survived on information that arrived while he was unconscious. He never got a burning bush. He got dreams, and he moved on them. And because he moved, the Christ child lived. If your dreams have been talking, it's because someone decided the fastest route to you is through the door your defenses can't guard. The eighth sign. Music breaks you open at inconvenient moments. You're in the car. It's a song you've heard 100 times. And out of nowhere your eyes are wet, and your throat is tight, and you have no explanation for it. Or a certain kind of silence does it. Or a certain slant of light in the late afternoon. Something in creation reaches through the ordinary and touches a nerve you didn't know was exposed. David understood this. That's why the harp, when the tormenting spirit came on Saul, they didn't bring a priest, they brought a boy with an instrument. And the boy played, and the darkness on the king lifted, and Saul could breathe again. Sound is a doorway, and you've had that door swing open on you in the middle of a Tuesday commute more than once. You wiped your face and kept driving, but you knew, I want to pause here, because this is the point in the road where I have to tell you who I am. My name is George. I'm not a scholar, and I'm not selling you enlightenment. I'm a man who spent a lot of years assuming everything I've just described was a defect. I spent a long time trying to be a normal, easy, uncomplicated person, and failing at it every single time, and then finally understanding that I was failing, because I was never built to be that. There are messages that pass through your eyes, and there are messages that pass through your spirit. If something in you recognized itself while watching, don't dismiss it. That is the spirit confirming what was already written. The secret protocol carries 7 keys that unveil what heaven deposited in you before you ever arrive, things no one around you has ever been able to name. It comes with the full audiobook for your moments of prayer, silence, and encounter with God. And you also receive the Awakening Map, the guide that illuminates the 5 seasons of spiritual awakening, revealing with precision exactly where you are and what comes next. The link is pinned in the first comment, but only for a limited time. Don't let this moment pass without a response. Now, 3 more signs. And these are the ones that cost the most. The 9th sign. You have been misunderstood by people who love you. This is different from being hated. Being hated is clean. You know where you stand. But to be loved and misunderstood, that's a particular kind of loneliness. And it happens at kitchen tables and holiday dinners, and in the passenger seat of cars driving home in silence. Your mother loves you and does not understand you. Your husband, your wife, loves you and does not understand you. They're not villains. They're just standing on the other side of a wall neither of you built. And so you learn to translate. You learn to say 70% of the true thing and let the other 30 go. You learn to be a slightly smaller version of yourself at family gatherings, because the full version confuses the people you die for. Jesus went home to Nazareth, his own town, the place where people had watched him grow up. And they said, "Isn't this the carpenter's son? Aren't his brothers and sisters here with us?" And Scripture says he could do no mighty work there because of their unbelief. Read that again. The Son of God, limited, in his hometown, by the people who thought they already knew him. If it happened to him, stop expecting it not to happen to you. The 10th sign. You have a hunger that food, sleep, success, and love do not touch. You've fed it everything. You've tried the promotion. You've tried the relationship. You've tried the vacation, the new house, the thing you were sure would finally make you feel settled. And it works for about 2 weeks. And then the hollow comes back and sits down in your chest exactly where it was before. You've probably thought something was wrong with you, that you're ungrateful, that you can't be satisfied. You can't be satisfied. Not by those things. That's not a flaw, that's a design specification. The deer pants for the water brooks, David wrote. Not wants. Pants. That's an animal in distress, sides heaving, tongue out, dying for a thing it cannot manufacture. So panteth my soul after thee, O God. He wasn't hungry because something was broken in him. He was hungry because something was awake in him, and a thing that's awake demands to be fed with what actually feeds it. Stop trying to stuff God's appetite with the world's groceries. The 11th sign. You are still here. I want you to sit with this one, because it's the last, and it's the loudest. Something has tried to take you out. I don't know its name, a depression that had your whole chest in its fist. An addiction. A betrayal. A night you don't talk about. A diagnosis. A year you barely remember, because you were surviving it 1 hour at a time. Something came for you, and it did not get you. You are watching this. Breathing, alive. Do you understand how strange that is? Do you understand that on your worst night, when you were down there in the bottom of it, and there was no reason left to get up, you got up? Where did that come from? You didn't manufacture that. You had nothing left. And something got you to your feet anyway. That was not your willpower. That was a hand. Paul was stoned in Lystra. Not injured, stoned. They dragged his body outside the city and dumped it in the dirt, because they were certain he was dead. And the believers gathered around him, probably to bury him, probably weeping, and Scripture says he rose up and went back into the city, back in the same city. The next day he walked to Derbe and preached. Understand what that means. The enemy of your life has already thrown its best punch. It has already emptied the clip, and you are still standing. If they could have finished you, they would have. They didn't, which means they can't. 11 signs. That's the inventory. Not all of them will be yours. Maybe 7, maybe 9. But if you sat here and felt your stomach drop on more than half of that list, you already have your answer. And you had it before I started talking. Now here's what I need you to do with it. Do not go tell everyone. I mean it. Do not text your group chat. Do not bring this up at Bible study on Wednesday and try to explain the third one. Do not hand this to the person in your life who has spent 20 years telling you you're too intense. Not because they're bad, because it isn't for them. And there's a violence in giving a holy thing to someone who has no framework to hold it a violence done to you. You'll walk away smaller. You'll walk away doubting. And it'll take you weeks to get back what one dismissive comment took in 3 seconds. Do not cast your pearls before swine. That's not an insult. That's protection. A pig can't eat a pearl. It'll root it into the mud looking for something edible, and then turn on the one who dropped it. Mary understood this. When the angel came and she said yes, and her whole life turned upside down, Scripture says, she kept all these things and pondered them in her heart. She didn't announce. She didn't go door to door in Nazareth explaining the arrangement. She held it. She let it grow in the dark, where things grow. That's your assignment now. Hold it. Let it grow. Let it get roots before you let it get air. There is coming a season, and I promise you this, when you will be sent to speak. When the thing you've been holding in silence will be pulled out of you at exactly the right moment in front of exactly the right person, and it will land like a hammer, and that person's life will bend around it. But that's God's timing, not yours. And not tonight. Tonight, you just needed to know that the list is real, that you're on it, and that the loneliness you've been carrying since you were young was never a punishment. It was a fence around something valuable. So look at that door again, the one you closed at the start of this. Look at that quiet room you're sitting in. You thought it was a cage. It was never a cage. It was a vault, and you were what was being kept inside it. Now I want to hear from you, and I want to be specific about this, because generic comments do nothing for either of us. Go back through the 11. Pick the one that hit you hardest, the one that made you stop the video, or sit back, or feel that cold recognition move down your spine. Just the number. And then one sentence, not a paragraph, not a testimony. One sentence about the moment in your life when that sign showed itself most clearly to you. Number. Then one sentence. That's it. I read them. And more than that, someone else scrolling through at 2 in the morning, feeling like the only one on earth who's ever felt this way, is going to read yours and finally understand they're not. That's why it matters. And remember, everything I spoke about goes deeper inside the secret protocol, pinned in the first comment. The 7 keys, the audiobook, and the awakening map are there waiting for you whenever you're ready to take the next step.